Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. Today we are finally doing a full breakdown of all the upgrades I have on my 2023 Talaria build. It's a 2022 Talaria Sting, one of the first ones from the first generation, and we've done quite a bit to it, especially over this last winter. I'm gonna be letting you guys know everything that I have on the bike, why I decided to put what I did on the bike, and then I'm also gonna have everything down in the description so you guys can check it out if you want. So let's get into it. Where's the gas tank? All right guys, so first up we're going to be talking about the forks. What I had set up on this bike originally was a pair of Dorado Experts, which is an inverted mountain bike fork. They're a little bit bigger than like your Fox 40s, but they're about the same quality. As I was running them, they felt really good, but the seals would break incredibly fast, and I had to take it in and get it serviced constantly, 2 or 3 times a year. I decided to get rid of those, and I got me a pair of these forks. These are KTM 85 SX forks, and they basically bolt right onto the bike. GritShift, which I love a lot of GritShift stuff, by the way, I'll be sure to put them down in the description. GritShift makes this adapter for the fork. Since the steering tube is a little bit longer on these SX forks, they make an adapter so it's plug in and play basically if you buy that adapter. So right now I'm running an entire KTM front end. I got front forks that are KTM, the brakes and the calipers and the rotor, all KTM front end. As far as the tire goes, it's a Starcross Michelin's MS3 tire, 70 by 100 by 19, which is the same size as the bike comes stock. The only thing that I don't really like about this setup is that I can't have a 21-inch tire on the front, but it's really not that huge of a deal. The fender mounts right to the bottom clamps, so that's awesome. Just everything that I want for the bike is in here with this KTM setup, so I love it. A lot more heavy duty. It is heavier. It's about 15 pounds heavier than the Dorados, including everything on it, the tire and the brakes and everything. But running the bike at higher powers, hardly even tell. Running the front brake caliper, the front KTM brakes, night and day. So much better than anything that you can get for mountain bike stuff. It's just a crazy stopping power. You can do the stoppies like there's no tomorrow. All right guys, so coming down to the controller, we're running a KO 35 kilowatt Pro controller. I love this controller. It has been nothing but great for me. Plug in and play, which I can always appreciate. You can keep your lights, keep your horn, keep your stock display. Everything's literally just plug in and play. The controller is controlled by an app. So when I originally bought the controller, you had to do most of the tuning and everything on a computer, and you have to do the initial setup and stuff on the computer. Since then, KO has been doing a great job with their app, which is now in the beta version, which if you have one of these controllers you can get and test out. But you can do everything on the controller now. You can set up the bike, you can change the tune on the fly. It gives you battery percentage, motor temperatures, it gives you controller temperatures, it gives you range, it gives you efficiency. It's awesome. For our third thing, we got to pair our KO controller with the brand new 35 kilowatt F-Spec KO motor. That's a mouthful. This is a 35 kilowatt motor. Literally got it. It's one of the first 3 ones off the line. It's a little bit bigger than the stock motor. The only thing that isn't plug in and play is this bash plate. I have these 2 little brackets up here that are kind of extending it, and I plan on getting their actual bash plate that's supposed to fit on here properly. But this motor, I have nothing but positive things to say about it. You can get almost 6 times the stock power out of it, which you would never ride at. But as you ride at higher RPMs, you can tell with a stock motor, it struggles. Like, it's screaming as you're riding really fast. This guy, if you're running 11 kilowatts like I am, or 12 or 14 or whatever, this does not sound stressed at all. It doesn't feel stressed. It just feels really powerful. It's night and day. It's a lot more efficient than the stock motor. So I am really happy with the motor. Moving up here, we got a EBMX 72 volt, 57 amp hour battery in the chamber. I know, running KO in EBMX, controversy. No, at the moment, EBMX makes the biggest batteries possible for this bikes. I used to have, at stock power, I used to use 2 batteries to finish 1 hair scramble. Now I run this thing at 11 kilowatts and I do the entire hair scramble on 1 charge. And last time I raced, I still had 53% left in the bike. So there's a lot of power in here, baby. Okay, last big upgrade we did over the winter time. Down here, we finally upgraded our rear shock. We have a Voncat 10 rear shock, which is plug and play. Got that also from GritShift. Really nice shock, just night and day with the suspension on this bike. It does a great job off-road. No complaints at all with it. All right, so that was the 5 big upgrades that we put on the bike. Obviously, we couldn't stop there. So the graphics are custom designed, and then the graphics were printed by Sur-ron shop and shipped to me, so they're custom designed and printed. Obviously, we went with dinosaurs because dinosaurs are cool. Coming over, like I said, for the front fender, we have that KTM front fender, which bolts right onto the front forks. Coming back here, we have a LWL rear fender for the Sur-ron. I made a video about this 2 years ago, and it's originally for the Sur-ron. We've cut it down the side. I've drilled a couple extra holes into the fender just so it would fit on my Talaria, and I think it looks pretty slick. Unfortunately, with this fender, they don't sell it anymore. I can't find it. There's stuff that's similar that they do sell, which I'll put down in the description for you guys, but this particular fender, they don't sell anywhere anymore. We have a custom made seat. Doesn't add any extra foaming, goes right over the stock seat, but you can order these on Amazon. There's a guy that makes them. We have a CNC guard for the Talaria display. This is not a egg rider. So if you guys decide to get a guard for this, it's gonna have to be this specific guard, because the egg rider display, the wiring comes out of a different spot on these displays. So it's gonna have to be this guard, not an egg rider guard. All right, moving down to the back end. So we're running a 58 tooth rear sprocket. This looks kind of choppy right now because I'm still kind of working on it. This is a Sur-ron rear chain guard. Talaria normally comes with a chain guard, but it broke off almost instantly. So this is a machined aluminum one. And I have this bracket right here right now just for sizing and where I want it. I also have, we welded a front guard. We have a front guard down there over the front sprocket to keep the front end staying around that front sprocket. We're running a 18-inch rear tire. This is a Sur-ron tire. This is actually a Sur-ron rim. GritShift, again, one of my favorite companies, makes adapters for Sur-ron tires. So if any of you guys out there have Sur-ron tires that are just laying around and you can't put them on your Talaria, GritShifts makes these awesome adapters that I'm running right now that you can use Talaria, or you can use Sur-ron wheels on the Talaria. It's just basically little spacers out of billet aluminum, and they work great. As far as the tire goes, it's an 18-inch Kenda Klassic, 3.5 in diameter. It is very close to the tire, so I had to trim all these knobs off the side. Axle blocks, this is the only thing that I haven't really upgraded on here. I have these, I believe they're JFG rear axle blocks. They're actually Sur-rons, but they're the same diameter as the stock Talaria ones. So I had those on there and they work fine, except when you're trying to adjust it, they move up and down all the time. So I'm getting rid of those. And I have a pair of Warp 9 titanium blocks and titanium bolts, spacer bolts that I'm getting, and they're on their way right now. I ordered them yesterday. Moving up here to the rear shock, we have another GritShift item. So we have upgraded billet aluminum GritShift rear linkage. Both linkage parts, they're both made by GritShift and they're both made out of billet aluminum. The rear linkage that comes on these bikes typically aren't very strong, so I just switched them out before anything broke. Another GritShift item, we have a rear peg brace. So this goes from this peg all the way over to the other one. That way the pegs don't bow inwards. We have some just generic universal motocross pegs. Up here for our rear shock guard, we are using This is actually, this is a cutting board. So it's one of those flexible cutting boards that I've run this thing for almost a year and a half now. Zero problems with it at all. At the time, they didn't sell any rear guards for the Talaria, so I just made this one. It was 10 bucks for 4 of them, and I just cut it to size, cut it up around the rear linkage, and there's just no problems with it at all. This is a JFG kickstand. It's adjustable on the end, is why I ended up going with it. You can adjust it however you want. Works great, no complaints there. Moving up here, I don't know if you guys can see that right up here. This is I forgot the name of it. It's called a filter. It's a gearbox air filter. So this tube on your gearbox is made so all the heat, when you're riding, all the heat can go out of the top. And normally it just comes up around here and just kind of sits, the hose just kind of sits open right there. GritShift found out that a lot of mud and stuff could get inside that hose and go all the way down into your gearbox. I'm like, oh, that is kind of a design flaw. So they made this little filter that you hook up your hose to, and it makes sure that no water or anything will get down into your gearbox as you're riding, if you're riding on muddy stuff, which is a really brilliant idea. Still running the stock brakes in the back. We have some Shimano brakes. They're semi-metallic brakes. This is a rotor guard. It's a Sur-ron rotor guard, and it works fine with the Talaria. What I have actually, Talaria is a little bit thicker. So in between right here, there's a little space where the rotor guard actually isn't quite wide enough. So this circle bit that I have right here, you can see it's kind of rounded. That is actually a headset tube spacer. And I have that just in between the axle, and that makes the rotor guard slightly wider, just perfect enough so it's the right size. Zero problems with that at all. Obviously I bashed the rotor guard on a couple things, so it's serving its purpose. All right guys, and I think that's everything. We're going to be racing this guy in our District 17 hair scramble races all year, so if you guys want to check those out, I'm going to try and get those up every single week. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and we'll see you in the next one.